Muted. Hello, my friends in film and fandom, wherever you may be and however you may be watching. Thank you so much for giving us a little bit of your time. A mystery of sorts to deal with tonight. And the mystery is, why did this movie not make $1 billion in 1985? Because so many movies were making that much money back then. How the hell did this movie somehow not pull it off? Ignore that the square right over there. That's going to be Jeremy here in a little bit whenever he decides to pop in, but he was running a little late, so we're getting things going without him. He will be here shortly, but that's okay, because we got a couple of really awesome guys to fill the void for right now, starting with the shape for the Lone Star State, our man Tex. What's going on, brother?
No. You look below my face. You refer to me as Mr. Camo for the purposes of this review. I don't need y'all knowing who I am and blackmailing me and whatnot. You bunch of communists and socialists. I know what y'all doing in here. All right, let's keep this thing above board. What's up, gentlemen? Hope y'all are doing well, and everybody's not dying of heat like I am. So yeah.
I'm really hoping that Jeremy shows up in full cosplay as Miss Peacock. That'd be kind of awesome, wouldn't it? I mean, come on. Well, really take it to the nth degree, Jeremy. Come on, man.
I find it suspicious that, I mean, is he already dead? Is he in a freezer somewhere with a knife in his back? I mean,
he might be.
Is he is he the stranger that needs to make a phone call? I mean, who knows with this guy? He could pop up anywhere. So we'll find out.
And until Jeremy gets here, we are joined, well, for the whole show, we're going to be joined by our good friend from Alex the Garbage Man, Mr. Alex. What's up, brother?
Not much, Frank. Thank you very much for having me back. It's been, I think, a year since I was last here, and I'm so glad to be here again. Thank you again.
Another really big cinephile, somebody who has some serious movie knowledge to throw around. It's going to be nice to have someone like him with us again. And Jeremy, again, my hetero life mate, will be here eventually. He was running a little bit behind. He will pop on when he gets a chance. But until then, we're going to go ahead and get right down to it. And tonight's film is Clue, the 1985 American black comedy mystery film based on the board game of the same name, directed by Jonathan Lynn, who also co-wrote the script with John Landis, and produced by Debra Hill. It stars the ensemble cast of a bunch of comedic geniuses: Eileen Brennan, Tim Curry, Madeline Kahn, Christopher Lloyd, Michael McKean, Martin Mull, Lesley Ann Warren, and Colleen Camp. Inspired by the nature of the board game, the film's initial release featured various different endings, with one of three possibilities sent to each theater. Home media releases included all three endings presented sequentially. The film initially received mixed reviews and did fairly poorly at the box office, grossing $14.6 million in the United States against its budget of $15 million, but later developed a considerable cult following. On Rotten Tomatoes, the film does hold an approval rating of 69, giggity, based on 36 reviews, with an average rating of 6.3 out of 10. The website's critic consensus reads, quote, "A robust ensemble of game actors elevate Clue above its schematic source material, but this farce's reliance on novelty over organic wit makes its entertainment value a roll of the dice." I personally, I guess I kind of see part of that somewhat scathing review of the movie, but it is an interesting film. I mean, you would never think that you would just take a board game and make a movie out of it, but they kind of did it in a pretty good way. It's certainly held up over the years. I'll go to you first, Tex. Give us a brief paragraph on your overall thoughts of the movie before we get into the really good spoiler stuff.
Well, it's been a while since I've seen this film. When I watched it, it's like I said, it's probably been since 99 to 2000 since the last time I saw this. And it didn't hold up for me as well as I remembered it. I will say that. Doesn't mean I didn't enjoy it. There's a lot of good things to praise, but it's an interesting film to talk about. It's very plot heavy, which can either be a good or a bad thing. But there's a lot to take in when you watch this. It's kind of I guess, entry-level horror, I guess, if you really wanted to use that, because there's a lot of old school elements here. But I mean, it's a film you need to see. I'll say that.
I'll go to you next, Alex. A brief paragraph, overall thoughts of the film before we get into the dirty deep stuff.
So Frank has a saying with some movies: you turn your brain off, stuff your face full of popcorn, and enjoy. Well, you should stuff your face full of popcorn, but do not turn your brain off for this. It's much more fun as an audience member to keep your brain on, try and stay engaged, try and stay ahead of the game. That's what makes this movie part of this what is so much fun for me as an audience member. The cast, the comedic timing, the line delivery, the lines themselves, great writing, and just overall beginning to end, hour 36. There's very little that I can think of that would be even planted in the negative territory for this movie. This is a great movie, considering the movies that were released in 1985. If you go to the IMDb and sort by popularity, this ends up at number 6, and I think for very good reason.
And just in time to give us his initial thoughts on the film is my head or life mate, Jeremy. What do you got going on over there, my friend?
I knew it.
Hello?
For whom the bell tolls, right? I mean, are we about to get some Metallica here? I mean, are we going to let this stranger in the house? I mean, yeah.
He's dressed as the singing telegram girl.
That would make sense.
Hey,
how dare you guys? How dare you guys? Come on. Now that you're hosting,
Wadsworth.
Yes. What? He even did Mr. Camo. I should have done something. Damn it.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to take cosplay. I know that's your thing, so I wanted to be festive, and I did the name. So.
That's okay. I didn't even commit to the name. I committed to the bit of the door, at least. And I didn't even sing. You guys are welcome. I didn't put you through that. I may not be the one who gets killed.
I can't wait to see what Jeremy does when we eventually do Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Well, I mean, I know what I'm doing.
I don't think he's got the legs for that, so let's not pull that one off. All right, just saying.
You don't think I can get my leg all the way up there?
I don't need to see that. You save that for your bedroom. Or, you good. It's all good.
Don't hate on Tim Curry.
Anyway, Jeremy, a quick paragraph on your thoughts on the film before we move into the actual breakdown.
Oh boy. Well, I guess to make a long story short, no one's gonna do the joke. Wow. Okay.
Too late.
I was like, you're all too late.
I was just letting you talk, bud.
Well, yeah. Yeah. This is, I haven't seen this movie in a couple of years, but it's like it still makes me laugh just as hard as it did the first time I saw it. It's so the humor is so quick, it's so fast. It's like you just, it's like I said, it still hits me every time, and it's still just as much fun to watch it, even though, well, I guess depending on what ending you want to side with, but what happened or what could have happened or what really happened. Yeah, it's a lot of fun from start to finish.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about the 3 endings here in just a little bit. But, for me, I mean, what Alex said is pretty right on. This movie is very quirky. And by themselves, the quirks are okay. But when you put them all together in this tapestry that is this film, it actually works really, really well. So there's a lot of, it's almost like a Family Guy episode. There's a lot of gags, a lot of one-liners that work out very, very well together in the grand scheme of things. And then when you factor in the great talent that's in this, I mean, at the time, these were some of the most talented comedic actors that were working. I mean, and many of them already had, going into this, a long history of doing stuff just like this, going all the way back in the early 70s. So, yeah, I mean, they're a little odd to make a movie out of a board game, but then again, but here we are today. We made a movie out of Barbie. I mean, we made a movie out of Angry Birds. You may whatever. This is just proof that if you get a good story that you can put behind something, that the theme of it all, which for this movie the theme is the board game of Clue, the theme of it is completely separate from what the actual substance of the film is. And this film had good substance. Now, is this high art? No, it's not Shakespeare. It's not Dr. Zhivago, but I mean, it's still a widely entertaining film, one that I've always had a lot of fun watching. And even the three endings, for as much as they got kind of shit on for the three endings when it first happened, it kind of works. You know what I mean? We'll talk about it a little more later. We'll go to Alex first, though. I mean, just the cast. I mean, if you look down this list of people, it's like every one of them has a history of just being fantastic. Not even just at comedy, but kind of at every level. I mean, is there anybody in the cast that really stood out over one to you than more than the others did?
Well, of course, with Tim Curry, you can't go wrong with Tim Curry. When his first feature film role was Dr. Frankenfurter back in 1975, you can't go wrong when you cast Tim Curry in a comedy murder mystery. Eileen Brennan, I know the name and I've seen her before. Madeline Kahn, I love Madeline Kahn. If you haven't seen Mel Brooks's High Anxiety, you need to, because that's a great movie, and she is great in everything I have seen her in. Christopher Lloyd, that was a pretty big year for him, because not only did he do Clue, but Back to the Future as well, the role that we will probably all remember him for forever. And I'm really surprised he didn't try, depending on which film was shot first, he didn't try and shoehorn in a line or two from Back to the Future. Like when he's with Yvette, you know how Christopher Lloyd looks at Colleen Camp in Clue. He didn't look at her and say, "Great Scott."
Surprised he didn't do it when he first pulled up or something, like, I don't know.
Yeah, with Lesley Ann Warren. Oh, I would too. And Lesley Ann Warren, I've seen her in some stuff, and she was 39 when she did this movie, and she looked great in that little dress, let me say. And Michael McKean, fresh off of This Is Spinal Tap, that reviewer that said this film puts novelty above all else, they might have been referring to Michael McKean and his slapstick comedy, but that's what works for Michael McKean. Like, he's great at that. So why deny someone the ability to do that if they're good at it? If the joke is there, make the joke. Why not?
Especially when you're surrounded by people who are going to follow it up and build upon your joke. I mean, because whoever you are in this movie, you're surrounded by other great actors, great comedians. So it's like you could almost just roll in the camera and then just give them the basic idea of the scene and just let them go, and they're going to say something. It's awesome. I mean, because I'm sure all these people were familiar with the game Clue, so it's not like they couldn't just kind of ad lib even some stuff even. But I'll go to you next, Tex. I mean, which one of these actors stood out to you the most?
Well, I got to go with my man Christopher Lloyd. I mean, he makes no bones about being the sex fiend that he is in this movie. I mean, he's grabbing ass, laying hands on titties. He's using them as pillows. Yvette's laying there. He's laying over. He's crawling out of his chair to get to him. Christopher Lloyd is, he's amazing in this film. But besides him, I mean, of course, it's Tim Curry. Pennywise to this, to so many things. I think this is Tim Curry's best role. Out of everything that he's ever done, him as Wadsworth, he's captivating in this movie. He is the number one reason why you need to watch. But my honorary standout is Lesley Ann Warren, Miss Scarlet. I love George Strait. I grew up watching Pure Country. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. She plays his manager in that film, and she is incredible in this film. It's just, there's so many good names you could bring up. I mean, we could spend an hour talking about just the actors themselves, but I mean, those three specifically for me were amazing.
Yeah, Jeremy, how about you? Of this laundry list of just great acting talent, which one of these people stood out to you the most? I have a feeling I know your answer, but are you gonna go to somewhere else just to surprise me?
Well, no, not after everyone else took all my answers. So, yeah, we already went through. Everybody's a suspect, Obviously, yeah, Tim Curry, because that's, a picture that often creeps up in my timeline is you can always tell enough about somebody by what movie they know Tim Curry from. So whether that be, Clue, whether that's Rocky Horror Picture Show, I mean, hell, it could even be Muppet Treasure Island. This guy's been in so many things.
Home Alone 2, Scary Movie. I mean, there's so many things.
Right. Like this, I mean, this dude's, you want to talk about range? This guy's got it. And you can tell he has so much fun with it. And I always watch the end and I'm like, how many times did he do that? It doesn't really matter because he just looks like he's having the fucking time of his life running around the mansion. Just like, okay, so they came over here. We went in here. They were behind this door. We stabbed the cook. We came back through the passage, hit the cop with the lead pipe, and they had to do that like
dude got his steps in.
So, yeah. And yeah, I would have also said Miss Scarlet because again, how do you go wrong with her? And I mean, it's not any secret that obviously, Back to the Future is one of my favorite movies. So Christopher Lloyd's a given. I mean, even if his car would have come up and the door would have just like went up or something, just something goofy like that would have been pretty great. I don't know, just a real quick, gullwing door for no reason. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I mean, there's two. One of them is Eileen Brennan. I've always thought she was tremendously talented. It's funny because just a month or so ago, I had watched the Private Benjamin movie with Goldie Hawn. I had found that on one of the streaming services from 1980. And I was just like, and she was really good in that movie as well. Again, kind of a comedic. She was kind of the hard-ass drill sergeant in Private Benjamin. But I was reminded of other things that she had been in, and I was like, good God, this one was immensely talented. Everything from, because she started doing dramatic stuff back in like the 50s or something like that, 50s or early 60s. I mean, so her career, she had been around forever when this movie came out. Tremendously talented. And then Michael McKean, who through the 80s was like, before Tom Hanks, he was kind of America's dad. And I'm one of those guys who's old enough. I go back to Laverne and Shirley. I remember Lenny and Squiggy, him doing that whole bit with Laverne and Shirley. And then, of course, seeing movies like Daryl, which came out, I think, a year after this one. He was that kind of father figure in the 80s until, of course, Tom Hanks came around and became America's dad and so on and so on. But yeah, I mean,
I guess when you can say when he got big.
When he got big.
Come on.
When his career grew up and got big. Also, Madeline Kahn. I mean, good God, she was just. There's so much about her in this movie that she kind of overpowers every scene, but it works. It's like her presence is definitely the biggest presence in the movie. She's definitely jumping out there where it seemed like other actors were just kind of like, not intentionally, it's certainly part of their performance, are just kind of like doing what they needed to do to be a part of it all. She was the one that was just jumping in front of the camera and commanding people's attention, not because she was just drop dead gorgeous, just the way she delivered dialogue and everything I thought was fantastic. But I'll go to you next, Tex. I mean, basic plot of the movie, like I said, it's really, really difficult to take a board game and make a movie out of it because there's not really a story in the game. Depending on the game, of course. But Clue is not something that had a set story. It was basically a card game and a process of elimination. So there wasn't really a story for you to go on. They did create this kind of a bit nonsensical but serious, but still a good entertaining story against the backdrop of this game. Did the plot work out for you the way they put it all out there?
Well, considering this film has 3 endings, the plot, you're not watching this movie for the plot. You're watching it for the actors within it do what they're doing, the physical comedy. I mean, come on. Whenever they're dragging the cook out of the kitchen because, he likes to keep a clean kitchen, and they drop her head first and splat her head blunk on the floor. There's so much. I mean, the scene where the guy, where all the guys cross their legs because they talk about the guy getting his junk chopped off. I mean, there's just, the plot doesn't matter in this movie. The facts don't matter in this movie. Who did what doesn't matter in this movie. You watch this movie for the fun, the trying to figure out the whodunit because, hey, everybody's a suspect and everybody did it, whatever. But, the plot, it's fine. It's nothing special. It was good. But, considering there's multiple timelines within one film, I don't really think you even need to worry about the plot. Like I said, you're here for the party.
Yeah, Jeremy, how about you? I mean, overall plot of the movie, did it work out for you being based on a board game?
I mean, yeah, it's when you think of other board games, I mean, there really is no premise. I mean, this has more meat on its bones that it's a whodunit. I mean, and we've all seen, plenty of whodunits and mysteries, murder mysteries, things of the sort, You could have expected like Hercule Poirot to come by out of nowhere for some reason with his little mustache.
Right.
You know, it's murder in the board game in the house with the lead pipe or whatever. I don't know. Trying to make a joke, but I mean, I don't see them making a movie out of Mousetrap or well, no, you know what? You can make a horror.
They made one.
Like, you can make a horror movie out of Hungry Hungry Hippos, probably. I mean, that'd be terrifying, but that's the real murder on the Nile.
What's that one?
But
what's that one they do with Liam Neeson? Battleship, right? Wasn't it Battleship?
Yeah.
Oh, they did make a Battleship movie. That's yeah.
Yeah, wasn't it Aliens or something in the Battleship movie? I can't even remember exactly.
I didn't watch it because I was kind of like, well, I get the point of Battleship. We're just pew pewing at each other.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That might have a little more substance to it, but I mean, for this, it works because again, the whole point is the murder mystery, and as we will, no doubt, until the end of time, constantly quote Mr. Kennedy, will keep saying everybody's the suspect, and that's the fun of it. And like I said, it doesn't matter. These people just naturally bounce off each other throughout the whole movie.
Randy would have been great in this movie, dude. That would have been perfect.
Oh, do a Clue movie, but with all the Scream cast. That would have been fun. That's
the reboot. That's the reboot. Jamie Kennedy, Nev Campbell. Get them all back. There it is, right there. That's
it's Stu and fucking yeah. Get everybody back.
Oh yeah.
Man, that'd be fun.
They kind of did that, sort of. I don't know if you guys watched Psych, but there was episode 100 of Psych. They had it was Lesley Ann Warren, Christopher Lloyd, and somebody else. I want to say maybe it was Tim Curry. We're all on an episode of Psych that kind of sort of followed the general basic outline of this movie. And it was him trying to figure out some crazy shit that was going on. Maybe it was Martin Mull. Maybe Tim Curry wasn't involved. But yeah, there was an episode of Psych where several of these people were in there doing another Clue kind of episode on Psych, which I thought was kind of funny.
That's awesome.
But Casey's got an important question. He's like,
does he?
Serious question for all you guys. Who did you guys think was the killer? That's the beauty. Didn't matter. It didn't matter a bit.
It doesn't.
It's Casey. It's Casey in his basement with his computer. Killing
everybody,
killing off everybody else.
Everybody's a killer. Everybody's a killer, and nobody's a killer. Literally, there's not just to spoil a little bit here. I don't know if Frank has this in his trivia later, but there's not 3 endings. There's actually 4 endings to this movie, and I've got the 4th one. I'll tell you about it if he doesn't have it later.
Yeah, there was a 4th.
Yeah, everybody's
like, I don't know anything about it, but yeah.
Yeah, I've got it written down if you want to do it later. But
what's funny?
I think Casey's a killer. He killed Betty White. So.
Casey said this before you typed this before you said it. Actually, he's like, "That's the wrong one. That's crazy." Wait, he just put it in. He said, "By the way, I can't wait for Hungry Hungry Hippos the movie."
Did
he
I
actually
say it?
typed that right. He typed that right before you said it, which is the funny part.
I mean,
as long as he stars in that film, I'm okay with it.
Hey, if I get paid to get eaten by some hippo in a river, I mean, hey, I made my money. Somebody end this writer strike so we can get this made.
Yeah, no doubt.
Right.
But
we need the board game expanded universe expansion packs. That's what we're calling it.
We do. That's what we need. I'll go to Alex next. I want to get your thoughts on the plot. I mean, again, kind of weird to put a plot onto a board game, but I mean, did it work out for you with kind of the plot that they gave this movie?
Absolutely. It's when I think of board games, obviously Risk comes to mind, but there have been a lot of great movies made in the 1970s about World War II. So that is out. One here in Canada is Pop-O-Matic Trouble. I can't see making a movie out of that. But Monopoly comes to mind.
Axis and Allies.
Yeah. That would take a little bit more. But I think with Clue, you've got the basic structure there already because you've got the characters. It's a whodunit murder mystery. So it's almost laid out in front of you. All you have to do is arrange the pieces to how you see fit. So it makes sense. But to agree with Tex and to build on what he was saying, about halfway through the film, once we've been introduced to the characters, we've got the environment down, we know what's going on. It almost seems that the plot, who did it, doesn't matter, because we're interested in what these people are doing, what they're reacting to, what they're going to say and do next. That almost becomes the reason for watching the film, aside from trying to figure out who did it. And of course, me being my stupid self, I thought, oh, the butler did it, because, you know, English actor, yeah, he's the bad guy, of course.
It's always the guy.
It's always the butler.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, hell, even before this movie came out, I mean, you were talking about a bunch of movies in the 50s, 60s, all the way through the 70s where the butler did it. So, I mean, maybe that was the trope they were playing on with that last ending. You know, I don't know.
Actually, there's a movie we're about to watch here soon. I mean, that is a line that Eddie Murphy just blurts out. You're kidding me. The butler did it? I'm like, of course he did. Why are you not shocked?
But let's take a minute to talk about those three endings. Now, I was thinking about saving this for the trivia, but I mean, it's a significant part of the history of this movie. What they did, for those of you who don't know, they actually filmed this movie and then sent one of three different endings out to to the theaters. The idea behind this, and John Landis talked about this in an interview in the early 2000s. The idea was that it might drive people back to the theaters to see this movie multiple times to see all the endings. Something that blew up in their face very, very badly and did not work at all. As a matter of fact, it was one of the things that critics held against the movie when the movie first came out back in 1985. I don't know. I'll go to you first, Jay. I mean, it's an interesting concept, but I mean, really, do you see it working either back in 1985 or even today, pulling off something like that?
I mean, I get the concept of what they were trying to do. That's a kind of interesting marketing strategy that it's like, oh, well, that's the fun part. I mean, you know, it's a whodunit. I mean, even if you don't know, you know what Clue is. So you're like, oh, I wonder which one I got. And then maybe people start talking and there's no internet, but you know what I mean? They'll start talking about the different endings and it might, you think this would work, and honestly, I don't, you know, if I was there, I wouldn't have a doubt in my mind. I think, oh, that'd be kind of fun, but no, it did not end up that way, unfortunately. So I don't know, because I feel like because if you just send it to different places, you know, I mean, how do you know which one you are going to get? And in fact, if I got to go all the way to Montana to see the second ending or some dumb, you know, I'm not going to, you know, how far are you willing to go to know who really did it? Because that's the question we're all asking.
Yeah, I don't know how they divvied up who got what ending. I don't know if it's like all of Ohio got one ending, then Indiana got another ending, then Kentucky got another one. I don't know how they did all that without,
because that's a lot of distributing.
That is a lot of distributing.
That's what I'm saying. Even if you gave them multiples, that'd be a lot of. I just feel like that even financially or even logistically would be a good idea. So I see where the intention was. Maybe the execution was bad. I don't know.
But I'll go to you, Alex. I mean, it's kind of it seems like a silly marketing ploy. I almost think, as I was watching the movie again yesterday, that they probably would have been better off just putting the three endings at the end of the movie like they did. I think it watches better that way, if you ask me. I don't know. What are your thoughts on the three endings and their idea behind trying to use that to beef up the box office numbers?
It's probably, you know, hindsight being 2020, it's probably better that they had the three endings in the theatrical release. However, coming at it from a money perspective, I think it was an interesting choice that was made to cut it up and have one different ending in different theaters. That's not a bad idea from a marketing and money-making perspective, because if word of mouth drives people to seeing the movie and the conversations had about, well, I saw this ending. What did you think of it? Oh, I saw this ending. Well, we got to go back and find out what the hell happened. It does drive sales. Unfortunately, it blew up in their face, but it's still a good idea. And the first time I saw the movie, it messed me up that there were three endings, but ultimately I loved it. And I think from a writing perspective, it's a good idea. Just to, because the audience has gone with you this far, why not take them on that little bit of the extra journey of, you know what, let's let's say if this happened or this happened. It's just a fun little exercise because then the writing gets a little bit more creative and you cover more bases that way. So I can appreciate what Landis was thinking, but I love the idea of the 3 endings. And if you like that, there's a German film from, I think, 1998 called Run, Lola, Run, in which there are 3 different ways the main character can go. And that was an interesting perspective as well. So, yeah, the movies that have multiple endings, that opened the door for me. I'm all about that now.
I guess I could agree. I was going to say, actually, one board game that really could very easily be a movie is Dungeons and Dragons, as we've seen. So
it already is. That's
what I mean.
That's the whole franchise.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, I saw one at a friend's house, like, back in, I was like early high school, so maybe like freshman, sophomore year. And I thought it was like the coolest thing ever, even though now and this is relevant because the new movie came out. It's the old school, like, Barbie movies, that animation, that creepy animation they had for the old ones. It's that, but it's a Dungeons and Dragons movie. But the point of it that was so cool was you actually did choose, like, what happened in each moment. Like, the movie would play out and it would stop and say, okay, what do you want to do here? And you would choose, and I mean,
I think I remember that.
Yeah, I'm like, choose your own adventure stuff is nothing new, but like, my little 13-year-old mind was just like, there's a movie that does this? What? And there's like, I don't know how many endings, and I thought it was so cool. I mean, we're all a bunch of teenagers, and we're just dicks. We were trying to kill the entire party as fast as we could, but which I think I succeeded doing first on like the second choice. I don't know how. I got everyone slaughtered except for like the little elf or something, and then they're like, "Oh, don't tell anybody about this," and she runs off, and I was like, "Ha, success!" And then I think some years later I bought it off him, and I have it somewhere, but. That was just fun to me that I'm like, there's so many possibilities, and there was like 6 different endings to that movie or something. It was really cool.
Crazy Blade just had a great idea for a shared universe. Do a mix-up Clue and Saw. I will see that movie. That's got potential.
Hey,
Jake
Saw is my favorite horror. So I was going to say, Saw is arguably my favorite horror franchise. You give me more Saw, as long as it's not that crappy Chris Rock version, I'm down. Just keep him completely away from it. You ruined it.
It was Miss Peacock with the chainsaw in the sex room. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, she didn't cherish her life. Jigsaw had to teach her a lesson. It's all good.
Yeah, he's got blackmail on every one of them. It's fine. I can see that.
Tex, did I get to you about the plot? I'm sorry, I kind of lost what I was doing.
You lost the
plot.
Well, what do you think? What do you think of the plot of the film?
You mean the endings?
No. Well, yeah, the endings. I'm sorry, the endings.
Yeah. No, I think it's a great the way they did it. It's a great concept, but it's one of those things that looks good on paper, but the execution was done horribly. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but they didn't tell everybody, hey, go see this multiple times because it ends differently. I don't think they did that in the marketing. I couldn't, from the research that I did, I didn't see that they let people know ahead of time. So, I would love to go back to 1985 and just see the conversations that people had. Hey, Jim, did you see that Clue movie? Yeah. Oh, well, when, the butler does blah, 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 and, his buddy's sitting there, wait a minute. You didn't see this movie. That's not how this happened. Could you imagine the arguments that happened for this movie? Because it did. Friends sitting around on a Friday night or a Saturday or whatever talking, oh, yeah, I took the old lady to the movies and, here's what happened. I think the only way it could have worked successfully is if they did announced it ahead of time. Hey, here's the film. You obviously know it's based off the game. There's the A cut, B cut, and the C cut. Just put it in the advertising, put it in the poster, put it in the newspaper, whatever. Tell people ahead of time so they don't feel like they've been duped. I think that's what really caused this film more than anything. Because I would guess I know if I went, that's how I would feel. I would feel like I was took for a ride and they just, whatever. But if I knew ahead of time, hey, on Friday night, they're showing the A version, Saturday's B, and Sunday's C, that you're telling me so I don't feel like an idiot. I can accept that better. One film that did the choose your own adventure thing, I don't know if y'all ever saw it or not, or even had the DVD, but Final Destination 3. It was the one where it begins with the roller coaster and everything else. And if you had the DVD, you could play a choose your own adventure of, the events go this way, they go that way, whatever. It was a whole game within of course, this is in the DVD era, 20 years after this film. But it proved the execution can work if it's done correctly. You know what I mean?
What was that movie? I forget the name every single time, but it was also in the early 2000s. Although it was based off a video game, and it was like the group of friends played the video game, and it was like how they died in the game, they died in real life. You know what I'm talking about? Like the guy in the beginning, the guy like jumped and he hung himself from the chandelier, but that's like how he died in the video game.
You're not talking about the one with Gerard Butler where he was the prisoner that he had to play where a kid was playing him in it. It wasn't Gamer, no.
And this is like,
I know what you're talking about, but I can't think of the name of it. I know what you're talking about.
Because I mean, like that. I don't know if it did anything, but I remember the DVD menu being kind of cool. It was like you choose whatever character you wanted to play as, and like the menu would do something different. But I don't think it affected the movie. But I remember that being kind of cool.
No,
like,
but
these weird little innovations in these early 2000s and this new wave of cool technology for the cool kids, like called DVDs.
Well, that's my whole point, though. I mean, if how much did it cost you to go to the theater in 1985? I mean, a couple bucks, maybe. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I wasn't there.
I'd be willing to bet a lot of people really felt. Oh, I wasn't either. But I'd be willing to bet a lot of people felt duped.
Frank, what was it?
Like, oh wait, you just skipped.
Blank.
Couldn't have been more than $2 or $3. I know because I was there.
I was gonna say it couldn't be.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So okay. Could you imagine now? Well, let's say this exact movie came out today when it costs $20 a person to get into a movie, and you have to go see it 3 times to see the whole movie. People would be fit to be tied. They would be very upset because you're purposely screwing me out of the ending of the movie. It was it wouldn't work. It would. You have to tell people ahead of time.
Some board games just ruin friendships, man. That's how it goes. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, that's what Monopoly does. I've seen relationships end over a Monopoly.
We definitely didn't just play Monopoly a few days ago, and I had a disgusting amount of cash that made her mad, but I ended up winning, so whatever.
Did she call you a nasty capitalist and threaten to go take down Wall Street or something?
A little bit.
Oh, I see her. There she is. I found her.
Yeah, you want
a
plot twist?
I haven't been handed my champagne yet. I walked in here and I haven't been given my champagne.
Is it you with the wrench? Or was it me with the gun?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Which ending was it?
Hey.
Not sponsored by Fortnite, unfortunately. So sorry.
Unfortunately.
I'm sorry. I'm probably too old for that. For something.
Yeah, if you're not 12, both of your balls have dropped, so you're probably
that was for the kid. That was for the kids. Oh, I'm sorry. Right. Wait, no. And then the lights went out. Back.
Oh no.
And then a bang, or you hear the thud.
It turns out it was Rachel in the living room with a lead pipe the whole time. Holy crap! Right. You'd have never guessed it. Or was it the candlestick? I mean, who knows?
Well, like I said, this movie was awfully quirky. It had a lot of individual scenes that, however it fit in the movie, were extremely entertaining, kind of on their own. I'll go to you first on this one, Jeremy. It's like, what scene stood out to you as one of the ones that always kind of gets you when you watch this movie? It always makes you laugh.
I don't know. I think, again, the last time I watched it was around like 2016, and I watched it again the other day. I don't know why, but again, it's the quick humor, and I don't know why it's funny when they're kind of laying out everybody's reason for being there. And he's talking about Doc Brown. He's like, you know that thing that doctors aren't supposed to do with their females patients? Yeah, well, he did that. It's just so. He's like, well, he did that. So It's just so quick, and it's just so damn funny to me. I don't know why. Other than that, I mean, again, other than that, I don't think I'd ever get tired of watching Tim Curry run around like a maniac. So I'm sorry, this is just a Tim Curry appreciation post. So
everything Tim Curry is a Tim Curry appreciation post.
Yes, I'm gonna be so heartbroken when that man goes. It's not gonna be fun.
How about you, Alex? Was there one scene in this film that always makes you laugh when you watch it?
It's the compilation of scenes. If you go on YouTube, you can look for just about any movie, and it's this one character, and the clip ends up being 4 or 5 minutes long. Like Tim Curry in Home Alone 2, I think that's less than 6 minutes long. So it's not a single scene for me. It's the compilation of shots of Tim Curry kind of jogging almost with his knees up to his chest, but he's hunched over at the same time when he's jogging, going from one room to another. I can't keep it together whenever I see him do that. It's quite the strange exercise, but I love
it. Tex, how about you? I mean, I know you said you haven't seen this movie in a long time until just the last couple of days, but was there one scene that jumped out at you that was really funny?
What if I have to go one scene? It's got to be Tim Curry dragging, insert different person here up the stairs, and every time about halfway up the stairs, they face plant as he's going up, and he's doing the jogging thing that Alex was just talking about. It's the slapstick humor. It's like you're watching an episode of the Three Stooges. You know what you're coming here for, and you know it's going to be funny. It's like I said earlier. The scene where they're carrying the corpse of the chef into the dining hall or whatever, and they just drop her head first because Mr. Body's gone, and then they just literally walk over a dead body like it's not there, like it's just a bag of groceries or something, a trash bag in the way or something.
Let's say when they're good.
Go ahead.
I was like, when they're reenacting the thing, he turns the light out, and then he turns back and he's on the ground. And they're like, oh, he's like, he was dead here. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean between Tim Curry and the stairs scene and Christopher Lloyd and his womanizing in this film, it's just tremendous. I mean, whether he's trying to grab Miss Scarlett's butt before he's even in the house, he's not bashful about it. He doesn't apologize. He doesn't care. He knows what he's here to do. It's just he does it so blatantly that it's comical. I enjoy it.
It wasn't just
that's too damn hot for that thing.
Lloyd either. There was that one scene when they're getting ready to go search the house. Lesley Ann Warren and Martin Mull are partnered up, and they go and they start to open that one door to go downstairs. I think it was them going downstairs, and they both look in there, and he goes, "I wonder what's in here." And she goes, "Search me." He goes, "Okay." It turns around, starts patting her down. Fucking gets off me. I was like, what guy would use that as a reason to calm the feel?
Even at the dinner table when they're just first getting to know each other, he's sitting next to Miss Scarlett. He's trying to reach over in her lap to spread out a napkin, but she knows what he's reaching for. Lesley Ann Warren just gives him this look like, "Don't even try it, buddy. You pull back a stump if you did." It's almost a satire level comedic humor they're going for in these kind of things. From the whole cast within this thing, they cover every stereotype and archetype that you would want when you're talking about a government type people, and it's just, they fill all the roles, what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how I could possibly pick one scene in a movie that's so full of kind of classic scenes, but, yeah. Also, one of our viewers on Twitch saying I love this show. It's a perfect evolution of beard growth. Well, Jeremy doesn't have any gray in his beard yet, so he's still got a little ways to go.
Right.
But
it's up here. It's not down there yet.
I went gray at 25. All right, I got screwed. All right, it hit me early, so I didn't have a chance.
Hey,
me too.
There's people in my family that did, and I'm lucky. I'm kind of dodging it for now.
Yeah, but it's great. In a scene full of great scenes. It's I don't know why, but the one scene that always makes me laugh a little harder than others is when Tim Curry is going through this whole thing, he's explaining it all, and then he gets to the point where he's mimicking Michael Keaton slapping Miss Peacock. And he turns out, looks at the camera and goes, I had to stop her screaming. I was like, why does he say it like that? That makes it sound so much funnier. I don't get it, but it's just so funny. It always stands out, and I always laugh a little bit harder at that scene than I do all the other ones. But yeah, it's a movie full of scenes that on their own you can watch them completely out of context. All you have to know is it's like a murder mystery, and it'll make perfect sense. I mean, there's so much fun stuff about this movie. But I do want to ask you guys about this real quick. We talked back in August about the potential for a remake. As a matter of fact, here's a thumbnail from that particular show we did. Ryan Reynolds is in talks has been in talks anyway, for apparently a new film based on Clue. And we were talking about how if you were going to do this, that Ryan Reynolds and his kind of unique take on filmmaking is kind of the perfect place to do it. I mean, do you guys think this would work as a remake in the modern day? Because while the movie wasn't really raunchy. I mean, there were some scenes, but I mean, there was nothing in this movie that modern film-going audiences would kind of look down upon. I mean, I'll go to you first, Tex. Do you think it's possible that a remake could happen and it would be accepted by fans?
Hadn't it kind of already been done with Knives Out? I know Knives Out doesn't quite have the comedy, but Knives Out is kind of like the spiritual successor to what Clue is.
Funny you say that. I actually read somewhere a long time ago that when Rian Johnson was editing Knives Out, he had a big Clue poster from this movie on the wall of the editing room, because he just to get the kind of put people in that, have that psychological effect of the whodunit on the people as they were editing the film. So I mean, maybe it's been a while since I've seen Knives Out. I don't know if there's big similarities I can remember.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, yeah, Ryan Reynolds could do this. He could play the Tim Curry role. We know we're going to get the zany humor. We know what we're going to get. Ryan Reynolds as the butler. He's going to play himself, and that's what everybody loves. I mean, the guy's made a career off of it. But if they do it, they really have to not be bashful and go full bore with it. Don't pull any punches. Obviously, you're going to update it, so you're going to have different this and that, whatever. But it could be done. I mean, Ryan Reynolds is a comedic genius. Now, will it hold up? I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's an opinion-based question, but I think it could work. Like you said, we covered this topic already. I'd go see it, but I mean, I'm not the biggest Clue fan like Jeremy or Frank or y'all are, but I'd go watch it.
I don't know, Jeremy. What do you think? Do you think that Clue could work in the way they make films in the modern day?
I mean, back on Ryan Reynolds. I mean, it's not like he doesn't have the comedic chops for it. I mean, that's no doubts there. The thing is, with some of the, I mean, I would set it in a different time. Like this one was made in 85 and it was set in like 1954 or something. You could make this set in 1985 instead. It's kind of like a little fun, and also that takes out the whole, I mean, the problem with like movies that are set in modern times, I think we talked about it with Scream. It's like, it's hilarious to watch her try to, take her smartphone and like lock the doors and like panic. I'm like, yeah, that's kind of funny. However, you still have to address the, the fact that there are cell phones, there's the internet, there's, you have, more cars, that's always a hurdle you got to get through in a horror movie. Like, why can't they call for help? Why can't they go anywhere? Why, the bridge is out. I don't know. The trees won't let us leave. The trees are alive, Ashley, And Tex wasn't even here for my Evil Dead joke. Damn it. Oh, maybe he died. Uh-oh. Well, it's beginning.
He's busy stabbing the cook, I think.
Oh yeah, he's gonna be back here in record time. He's gonna use that passage. I'm telling you. Back to the study.
I swear we lose him once a show. It's becoming a regular thing now.
That's the joke. He's the only one who wasn't here when we talked about this. What was it? Oh yeah. So it would be kind of fun if it was like set in like 1985 or something. I mean, that'd be kind of fun to make it, kind of a different era and as a kind of a fun poke at the original. And since everything as cool as Stranger Things is, I'm like, not every single thing has to be about the 80s. Can we maybe pump the brakes just a slight bit? I know Frank doesn't want to do that. He wants to full bore through the 80s, but let's pump it for a second.
If it works. if it works.
Fair. And I mean, that's what I'm saying. I don't doubt that that would work if that's how I would do it.
That could be interesting. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't have any problem with something set in the modern day, but give it kind of a not a gothic, but more like an old school, old worldly kind of thing. Put it in some old castle in New England or something like that, or that would be kind of cool. But
wouldn't want it to be too distracting, is what I'm saying. Just like, oh, I know it's modern day, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't want to be taken out of it because of that.
But well, I'll ask you next, Alex. I mean, potential for a remake of this. I mean, do you think it would work? I mean, how in your mind would you approach it?
Leaving Ryan Reynolds aside for a moment, great Canadian actor Ryan Reynolds, love him a lot. I would approach the people who made Now You See Me and Now You See Me Too, and also the people who made Escape Room and Escape Room Tournament of Champions, and see what they could come up with for a modern day, and I'm talking now, Clue remake, redo, reimagining, because the stakes have to be higher intellectually, because audiences, people who have watched movies over the years, myself and Frank, we're the old guys here, we've seen so much that not a lot will surprise us anymore. So just like Knives Out and its sequel, which doesn't Glass Onion, you got to be a good 5 to 10 steps ahead. You've really got to play with the minds of the audience. You've got to guide them in one direction while you're going in another. So it's really difficult in this day and age to make a good comedy that is not just goofy and adolescent toned. This movie, well, Clue from 1985, it oscillated between some goofy comedy, but some really good comedy, and some genuine suspense and thriller moments. And I would like to see that maintained, but that's a hard balance. So I wouldn't want to dive into goofy comedy territory. So there's got to be a lot of meetings and a whole bunch of writers in a room deciding, is this the way we want to go with it? It's not just, well, let's just make it silly and have Ryan say some one-liners and we'll improvise from there. You can't disappoint audiences in this day and age if you're going to be successful, and it's too easy to do that.
Yeah, modern audiences are really, really tough to please. Because when I was a kid growing up, it's like you just had to. I mean, we really all were kind of like children, just like flashing lights and jingling the keys in front of us on screen, and we were happy for an hour and a half. But storytelling has evolved to something way beyond that. I mean, look at all the action movies of the 80s. I mean, they were basically all the same plot. Cop, bad guy wants to kill a bunch of people. Cop has to stop him, and then whoever the good guy is, he stands there with a pretty girl at the end of the movie standing on the body of the dead guy, of the bad guy. And that was kind of every action movie of the 80s. But, they all worked because, they never pretended to be what they weren't. First off, hello to Alma who waved at us on YouTube. Thanks for coming to hang out with me. Appreciate it. What you say about the comparison to Now You See Me, I think that's interesting, because that actually makes a lot of sense to me. I would want them to lean a little bit more into the comedy more than Now You See Me can, but I kind of want that, or maybe even something like an Ocean's 11 where there's real fast beats. You don't always know what's coming. Sometimes you'll see what's coming, then they'll surprise you with something kind of outrageous, and then at the end of the movie, it's not so much about how it ends or who did it, but just kind of like the ride there was almost kind of exhausting. It just kind of kept you moving and moving and moving, so that you were just satisfied by the ending, but the journey was the funnest part. You know what I mean? That's what those kind of movies are to me, like Ocean's 11 and Now You See Me. That's kind of what those were. Is how you got to the end was really all the fun. It wasn't. Because that's the thing of the whodunits. It's like you spend all this time trying to figure out who killed who in what room with the whatever, and you kind of forget to kind of enjoy the ride a little bit sometimes. I think that's where some murder mysteries kind of go wrong, is they forget you have to make that part entertaining.
What about something like Hot Fuzz? Like, it's comedic. It's still kind of a whodunit. It's like who killed who in what part, and it was it was everybody. You know what I mean? But it's still, you still get there in the end, and it's still got those fast. I mean, Edgar Wright with his quick cuts and his quick humor, and it's a very, that movie, like, comedically is very well done. There's so many callbacks, so many things that are set up, and it's like it's like you're actually right in the beginning, but when he's trying to explain what happened, he was kind of wrong, but still right in the end. You know what I mean? It doesn't really.
I think he even said in the commentary that they actually got, talking about Hot Fuzz, they actually got like a book of 150 movie tropes and just put all of them in the movie at one point or another.
Yeah,
like
exposing the bad
guys in the first 5 minutes to like the sped up like chase scenes and all that. Like they just took them all and kind of made fun of them one by one in the movie, which I think is kind of funny.
Well,
but
talking about rebooting this, I don't think I'd do a film. A property like this, I mean, obviously this is based on a board game. There's a lot of material here. Something like this would be perfect for like a Netflix streaming series. You could really go deeper into the characters. Like, just go with the plot of this film. Everybody's being blackmailed. Well, you can kind of dig more into the past. You can show more about that. Play more into it. You can stretch it out. It doesn't feel as rushed. And then, you can go multiple endings. You can really get fast and loose and have some fun with it. In that kind of sense, if I'm not talking like a 12 episode run per season, make it 6, 8, 10, whatever. But that's how I would go with it. If I was rebooting it, I'd go streaming series with it, even limited series, whatever. But just to be different, I think that's what I would do, because something like this, if you just reboot it and do like a shot for shot remake or something, no matter what you do, it's going to get compared to this. And I don't think it's probably not going to hold up. And ultimately, it's going to be a failure. So that's why, go a little bit different with it. There's a lot they can do.
I think it would come down to the cast. I mean, because you look at this cast right here, and you've got to admit, you are looking at a very unique group of individuals. Right. Is there a cast that exists like that out there today? I mean, yeah, you could start with a guy like Ryan Reynolds. Who else would you get? I mean, he's buddies with The Rock. You could do that. I mean, I don't know where The Rock would fit into all this. I mean, you could have Colonel Mustard or something, I guess. I don't know. But it's like but
Hugh
I mean,
Jackman's a good buddy of his. I don't know.
Hugh Jackman is a buddy of his.
No.
But I mean,
the guys
how do you fill the rest of this cast out, though? I mean, because they all have to be, like I said, these guys were comedic heavy hitters back in 1985. Yeah. So, I mean, who do you really fill a cast up with like this?
I would go with the Club Dread guys, the guys that made the Super Trooper movies, the Beer Fest, the what's the one with where Bill Paxton was on that Club Dread. I would get those guys. Those guys, they're not big stars, but they're funny. They do a lot of films together, and they have that coexisting, like they know each other so they can riff off each other well. You can keep the budget low. You're not going to have to pay them $20 million to be in this movie, because this movie wouldn't get made for that much. But, I think those guys could really pull something off like this. They have that good comedic timing that I think would work perfect. You could play all the stereotypes you wanted.
I mean, it's one set too. It's not like you have to have a whole expansive thing. It's just a house, right? In a couple different rooms.
Well,
it's like
one thing I was looking at.
A less serious version of Would You Rather. It's just in the same house. They're all there for some financial reason, except that one's a little more horrifying, like putting a knife blade up to your eyeball. It's fun.
Right.
That movie pisses me off. Work. That ending always pissed me off.
that could go wrong.
You want to talk about a ride to the end, and then the end was not even where you wanted to be? Like, oh my God. That's so infuriating.
Well, apparently that rumor about Ryan Reynolds remaking this is a long-standing rumor from the research that I did. Like I mean, I know that we did this back in August, but apparently this is one of those projects that maybe he was working on for a number of years, and it got put on the back burner for Deadpool and whatever else he was doing.
For what it's worth, he was quoted recently as when asked about the potential for remaking Clue, he did say it wasn't going to happen anytime soon. So I would imagine that with the I don't know if he gave an interview before or after the writer's strike started, but I would imagine that with the writer's strike on, and now of course SAG being on strike, who the hell knows when they're putting anything in front of a camera again.
Yeah.
That his focus for the last probably year and a half or so has been predominantly Deadpool 3.
Deadpool.
And that he wants to get that in the can and out of the way before he really starts to go balls deep in any other project, whether it be this or something else. So for what it's worth, he said it wasn't going to happen anytime soon. So who knows what's going to happen between now and the next 3 to 4 years when he might actually try to start pushing this project down the line somewhere. But I want to get into some trivia real quick before we'll spend the rest of the show going into some fun little tidbits that I've heard about this. Carrie Fisher, Princess Leia, she was actually originally cast to portray Miss Scarlet, but withdrew to enter treatment for drug and alcohol addiction. They had actually, as I was doing a little bit of reading about this, they had actually tried to reschedule the shoot so that she could still be in the role. But the insurance company, because for those of you who don't know, all movies have to have insurance for various reasons. The insurance company wasn't sure if they were going to continue to insure the film if she was going to be involved. So she stepped away. And Lesley Ann Warren ended up coming in to play Miss Scarlet.
I'm glad she did.
You say Carrie Fisher. You didn't even finish the sentence. I'm like, she was going to be Miss Scarlet, wasn't she? I see it already. God, she would have been just fired.
I wouldn't want anybody besides Lesley Ann Warren, though. I mean, even with the cast of heavy hitters that this film has, she stands out. From the bitch face that she gives to the attitude to, in the room of big personalities, she kind of commands your eye, and not just physically, but she has an essence to her.
Yeah, I'm all for Carrie Fisher on screen in anything, but
don't you dare suggest
Carrie
Fisher do the same.
Princess Leia.
Well, I think she would have done the role pretty well. I think she would have been interesting to see. I am glad we ended up getting Lesley Ann Warren. I think she fit the role pretty well. I don't know, Alex, what do you think? Carrie Fisher, Lesley Ann Warren, are you glad with what we got? Or, do you think that there's something that Carrie Fisher could have brought to the role that maybe Lesley Ann Warren didn't?
I don't know, because it's set in 1954, and there was one line that Lesley Ann Warren had about the cop being on her payroll, and just her body movements and the way she delivered that line, it was perfect for a movie from the 50s. I don't know that Carrie could have done that, but I think Carrie had that voice at that time that would have fit well with the time frame. But no, I think Lesley Ann Warren is just a little bit better of a choice than Carrie Fisher, because when it was 1985, the last Star Wars movie was 83, so it's going to be still fresh in audience's mind. Oh, Princess Leia in a murder mystery, and that's what's going to be the draw. No, that's why Lesley Ann Warren was the top pick, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, I'm all for anything that puts Carrie Fisher in front of a camera, but at the same time, I think we ended up. It was a happy accident. I think we ended up with the right choice. Again, I'm not saying that Carrie Fisher would have done a great job. She would have put a different spin on the character. Because remember, we're not getting we wouldn't have gotten the Carrie Fisher that we got the last couple of Star Wars movies. We would have gotten a much younger Carrie Fisher that was 24, 25, something like that. At the time this movie was made. So yeah, that could have been interesting, but whatever. We talk obviously a lot about how this, every time we talk about Tim Curry, it's a Tim Curry appreciation post. But did you know that Jonathan Lynn's first choice for Wadsworth was not Tim Curry? Matter of fact, Tim Curry wasn't even the second choice. He was actually the third choice. Let's see.
No way.
Justin Lin's first choice for Wadsworth was an actor named Leonard Rossiter, but he passed away just before production. The second choice was Rowan Atkinson, but it was decided that he was not sufficiently well known in America at the time. Of course, he would go on to Mr. Bean and so many other things. But at the time, he was not very well known to American audiences. So they cast Tim Curry, who was friends with Jonathan Lynn from earlier in their careers. He called up Tim Curry and said, "Hey, you want to come do this?" And now Tim Curry said, "Sure, why not?" And now this is one of Tim Curry's most iconic roles. Jeremy, what do you think? We could have had Tim Curry was the third choice. How lucky do you feel that it got down to that third choice?
Third time's a charm, they say. So, I feel like that's a lot of things. Tim Curry, hey, you want to do this? Yeah, sure. I feel like that's how a lot of those happened, to be fair. You want to be the sweet transvestite from transsexual Transylvania? Yeah, why not? Who's an alien, maybe? I don't know. I don't even know by the time we get to that point in the movie what the hell's going on anymore. But We're all talking about the journey and the ride getting there. Whatever. Don't dream it, be it, or whatever he said. That's kind of wild. I don't know how. I wonder what that would have done for like Rowan Atkinson. Like, had he been in that role, I could see him doing that because all I'm seeing is like goofy Mr. Bean. But
he kind of did play. Rowan Atkinson did play a very similar role in the live action Scooby Doo movies. Remember, he was like the owner of the island or whatever. Yeah. And like he played kind of like the creepy caretaker, if you want to do a double feature, you could do Clue in the first Scooby Doo movie. Those would pair. They're kind of entry level horror. Those would pair well together, I do think. But he kind of played a Tim Curry kind of role. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't
think Frank got it. I think Frank caught the joke.
I don't see anybody but Tim Curry. I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, he just eats.
But of course, we're coming from hindsight, though. We're looking through rose-colored glasses here. Judging it in '85 would be much different than 23.
Well, hindsight's 2020. It's the same thing with the Carrie Fisher thing. It's like,
I'm like, yes, but
there's all kinds of casting possibilities. But sometimes, even if it's an actor you really love that missed out, you're kind of like, kind of happy things ended up this way. Because I remember all the shit that people gave Christopher Nolan for casting Heath Ledger.
Yeah,
and then you see the movie and you're like, holy shit! That performance really kind of takes you. It really just takes you out. So it's like, okay, never mind. You're right. It's like I could have thought of 2 or 3 other people that would have played interesting Jokers, but then you see him on screen and you're like, never mind. You were right. I was wrong.
Like we did with Ben Affleck with Batman. I was so pissed off, and then I was like, okay, you know what? You did it.
Until you saw him in that suit, then you're like, all right, I'm in.
It was a whole Twitter campaign. Better Batman than Affleck. There was a hashtag that was going around forever.
Well, dude, they did the same thing with Keaton. They do the same thing with every superhero casting. Until you see the suit, until you see a trailer. It's what social media does best. It blows everything out.
Nick Cage was in the suit, damn it, and we got robbed. Right? He was there.
Well, we got a taste of it in The Flash. Anyway.
Finally. It'd take like 20 years.
We didn't get a taste. We got a CGI abortion thrown on the screen to try to appease fans from 2 child predator Ezra Millers that were on the screen. That's what we got in The Flash. Right? It is what it is.
But, moving on, that famous speech that Madeline Kahn gives about the flames burning on the side of her face.
Yeah.
Did you guys know she improvised that whole thing?
Well, I can kind of tell that, I buy it.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so funny because it's like it seems like it was scripted, like she had put that all together because it was such a funny moment. But then I read this and I'm like, that kind of makes sense. Look, she was as talented as she was. You feel like if you're going to look at her and say, I want you to do this funny little thing on camera, and she just goes out there and does it, you're like, yeah, that makes perfect sense. I can very easily say this was one of the funniest scenes because it stands out in a way that it doesn't really fit. But then when you see the movie and you've gotten to know her character at that point, you're kind of like, yeah, it's all the things that this movie's thrown at me at this point. Why wouldn't I have the scene where she's struggling to say flaming side of my face? it slows the movie down and kind of like punches you in the mouth for a minute. And you can't help but kind of be entertained by just how off that scene is.
Well,
but it's funny.
Put yourself in that situation. You've got people dying around you mysteriously. You're drinking an ungodly amount of bourbon and whiskey and whatever you can get your hands on. So mentally, you're probably not there. So you're off in La La Land just trying to figure out what's going on. Oh, I just saw a dead guy that we thought was dead get up until he falls out of a closet with blood coming out of his ears. Now he's actually dead, and the cook was in the. I could see where you're kind of discombobulated a bit because you don't know what in the world's going on. So, yeah, I get it.
This should come as no surprise to anybody, but Tim Curry cited this as one of his favorite movies of his own.
That's fair.
Of course. It's his best.
Yeah.
he gets to be him in it.
You could tell he was having fun.
I'm a real look. I don't even like going back and watching our live streams and stuff like that because I'm such a hard critic on myself. It's like I always go back and watch one and I'm like, God, I sucked right there. I really screwed that part up.
I do the same thing.
Yeah, I do too.
So I find it hard to believe that I could watch any of my own stuff and not be overcritical and not find reasons to hate it. So, and I hear that a lot from actors. I'll see in interviews and stuff. They'll say, "What's your favorite movie?" And then one of them be like, "Oh, I like this movie not because of my performance, because of the story, and I got to be a part of this thing, and I got to work with this actor, yada yada yada." Not like I just look at this movie and be like, "God, that movie's really fucking good." Like as a whole, I can put seeing myself on screen aside and just watch this whole thing as a movie, as a fan of film, and think that it's really really good. That I like it. I don't hear a lot of actors say that. So it's really kind of cool that Tim Curry, who, let's face it, he's been around the block a few times. If anybody's earned the right to go ahead and pick one or two movies that he's done, we're like, yeah, those movies are actually really good. I suppose it's Tim Curry. But I don't know, Alex, are you a fan of great detail?
Absolutely, yes.
In an example of attention to detail, the secret passages in this movie lead to the same rooms that they do in the board game. The kitchen leads to the study, and the conservatory leads to the lounge. Furthermore, the parquet floor in the hall resembles the Clue board game. I don't know if you noticed that or not. I actually was reading this.
I didn't pick up on that.
I actually was reading this as I was sitting here watching the movie, and I actually stopped the movie a couple times to go back and look at the floor, and I was pulled up a Google image of the board game, and I was like, yeah, that is actually really really close. It's just one of those things I never noticed in all the millions of times that I've seen this movie.
I didn't know about the floor, but I knew that the passages were the same, which was a nice touch. I didn't know about the floor. That's kind of cool. See, now I want to go back and watch it. Damn it! You would have just told me that in the marketing.
The whole house in and of itself. This house doesn't get enough credit for being one of the great spooky houses in film. I mean, we always get the Myers house, the Munsters house, Freddy Krueger's house. This house, I mean, it's got that old Universal horror, kind of the lightning in the background, the scary dogs. I mean, it's the Hill House, which was obviously named for Debra Hill, Halloween and everything else. But this is one that I don't think gets enough credit. I think the house in and of itself is arguably the main character of this movie, if you really want to look at it. And I mean, I didn't catch all the attention to detail, the Clue board and everything else. I didn't see any of that. But like I said, I'm not the biggest Clue guy. But it's like I said when we opened this. There's a lot of plot that can get in the way if you let it, because there's and that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just very dense. You can watch this multiple times, probably dozens of times, and find something new every time you see it. So, there's a lot of rewatchability here.
I mean, that is a good line. They go up to the house. He's like, I think that's it. And it's just like that real dramatic shot of the lightning. Right. It's like, no shit. You think so? Why'd the car stop? It's scared. I'm like, what?
The car got scared. I love that.
I forgot. That made me laugh too. It's like, why'd the car stop? It's scared. What?
Right.
What?
I remember reading actually that this was shot mostly on a soundstage in Southern California, but them pulling up to the house, and some of the exteriors were shot at a house in somewhere in the hills of Pasadena or something like that, and the house itself was actually destroyed by a fire back in the early 2000s. So there's actually nothing left of that entire. Which is disappointing.
That's a shame. Damn.
From what I read,
I think Aaron Spelling was buying the house or something like that. From what I read.
Yeah, from what I read, the house was on, like you said, on a soundstage. The only thing that was real was the ballroom was in an actual house that they found. So they, cut those clips of those shots together or whatever to make it all fit. But yeah, it's a shame that it burned down, because could you imagine how having a Halloween party or something with your friends in this place? If they could rent this out, like they do the Scream House. Every Halloween you can rent out. Stu's house, I believe it is, that you can rent out and have parties in or whatever. Doing something at the Clue Mansion would be a lot of fun. But,
well, and to top it off, Yeah, that's a really big niche amongst YouTubers too, going and checking out these like filming locations and stuff.
Mhm.
There's so many different YouTubers out there that will go to these different locations. It's kind of a bummer that there's no place to go to take a look at this house. But I mean, it's sad. I'm sure that you could probably go and see the remnants of it. I mean, it's a stone house. I'm sure it didn't all burn down, but yeah, it was thoroughly destroyed by fire back in the early 2000s. Crazy Blade was asking earlier about some of the casting possibilities. Did you guys know that Jennifer Jason Leigh, Demi Moore, and Madonna were considered for the role of the buxom French maid Yvette? Eager to earn the part, Colleen Camp went to her audition in a low-cut French maid costume, showing a lot of cleavage. In a 2013 BuzzFeed retrospective, writer and director Jonathan Lynn admitted that although he was impressed with Camp's comedic acting skills, it was her well-endowed figure that ultimately convinced him. He said, quote, "There was no avoiding it."
You can't blame the guy.
She walked on the set the same way, and I'm like, that's all you had to do?
I'm sitting here thinking about this. I'm thinking about 1985. I don't know. Alex, do any of these names jump out to you? I can tell you the one name I wouldn't have wanted was Madonna.
Right.
I feel like in 1985, she was already a pretty damn big star. I feel like that her presence would have kind of run over the movie. And for a supporting character, you don't really want that to happen. Demi Moore, maybe. Jennifer Jason Leigh, maybe. I mean, just a couple of years earlier, she was in Fast Times. Demi Moore, she was coming out of the Brat Pack phase. So, I mean, she wouldn't have been bad. But, like, Madonna is the one that stands out to me as the one I wouldn't have wanted. I don't know. Is there one of those actresses you think would have at least looked better in the part?
If I was the casting director and I had my second choice, if I had to line those ones up, of course, Colleen Camp, number one. You can't go wrong there. I would go with Jennifer Jason Leigh as my second choice because she can deliver. She is very good. She's been very good in everything I've seen her over the years. Madonna, no, she would have overshadowed the movie. And I don't think at that time she would have done a very serviceable job. Like, I can't see her doing a French accent. Maybe they would have dropped it if she had the role. Demi Moore, at that time, she had done St. Elmo's Fire. So probably Demi Moore. Madonna definitely at the bottom. But Colleen Camp, yeah, she was great. And even though she's American and, probably that stereotypical French accent, it worked for the comedy. And, the way she dressed wasn't a bad choice either.
Yeah, not at all. Did you guys notice she dropped the accent in the scene where she was killed?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought that was kind of the point because she was supposed to be like,
Yeah, it was all a put on.
There's your clue.
Yeah, French accent was a red herring.
Well,
like communism.
Hey, just like communism, it's always that red herring. I mean, the role of the maid, we don't need a star. We need a hot chick in this movie. Colleen Camp. Jesus, Joseph and Dale Earnhardt Jr. Look at that woman in this movie. If that don't get your blood boiling, you're batting for the other team. I'm sorry. There's no way you don't find her attractive. I was going to go with when we started this, I was going to, my opening line was going to be, well, I did the maid in the bedroom, in the maid's chambers, and in the living room all at the same time. Because, good God, look at her in this film. I mean, it's kind of like how Marilyn Burns got the role in Texas Chainsaw. Once Toby Hooper saw her, it was done. Like, he could have seen 1,000 other actresses. Nobody else was getting it besides her. It's the same way with Colleen Camp in this one. We don't need a star. She fits perfectly. She delivers on what her input was into this film, and it fits great.
I don't know about fits great. She was putting a lot of faith in that top, but yeah, you're right.
Oh, hey, she can bust out whenever she wants to. God bless that one. So, it's all good.
You guys want a little bit of a history lesson?
Let's do it.
Let's see. In the opening scene, when Wadsworth checks on Mrs. Ho, the cook, the live televised Army McCarthy hearings on the kitchen television, one phrase spoken by Senator Joseph McCarthy can be heard clearly as Wadsworth departs is professors and teachers, quote, professors and teachers who are getting their orders from Moscow. The Senate hearing is also the same one in which the famous quote of, "Have you no decency, sir? At long last, have you left no sense of decency?" is spoken by head counsel for the Army, Joseph N. Welch. With the coverage hearings taking place live in Washington, live on television, the events of this movie can be placed on the exact day of Wednesday, June 9th, 1954.
Right. I'll bet.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, when I saw Doc Brown roll up in that car, I was like, well, you're a little early. It's November 5th, 1955, so not quite there yet.
Right.
54. He did have access to the time machine the whole after that, so he could have gone back another year or so and gotten involved. You never know.
Yeah, technically the one car was buried in the ground, right? Yeah, because then he found it in 55. Right? Well, yeah, I don't know, man. Back to the Future's all bullshit.
I will say this.
Time travel sucks. That's why I hate time traveling movies.
For this to be, a fun whodunit kind of film, they get pretty deep in the weeds on the political stuff, from the UN to the World Health Organization. They're throwing a lot at you for a PG comedy horror film. If you're a kid watching this for the first time, there's no way you know what all this stuff is. So it adds the layers to, someone who's a little older watching it picks up on those kind of things. It's one of the good things that, films can do. And, which, hey, for a PG film, there's a lot of boob in it. So, hey, God bless them.
It was 1985. I mean,
right. This was
quite there yet.
You could almost get naked in a PG film back then. We need to go back to that today. We need to adjust standards. But,
Howard the Duck is all I'm going to say.
Respectable nudity.
That wasn't respectable at all. But
respectable? No, we need just Frankenhooker level.
Like Frankenhooker was last week. Quit living in the past. You need the future.
Sequence of Carrie. Where we're following along high school girls in the shower. There's nothing wrong with that at all.
Right.
Yeah. We are talking about a lot of boobs the last 3 weeks, so I mean,
there have been a lot of boobs the last 3 weeks.
Man, we should talk about them every day. We should talk about them every day because they're important, Jeremy.
I agree. They're good for our mental health.
I'm like, I didn't disagree.
Thank you. I like him. He can stay. He's smart. I like him.
So we didn't decide on Thursday yet, did we? I mean, I can't imagine what movie we're going to watch now.
I'll find some good suggestions. Don't you worry. I got you covered.
I believe you. I do.
They timing was very important in this movie. And at one point, Professor Plum says they only have 15 minutes until the police come. Exactly 15 minutes later in the film, the evangelist, who is later revealed to be a police chief, rings the doorbell.
I was going to say, it wasn't every time they mentioned how many minutes are left, it was actually how long it was left in the film. Because they do they do 3 times.
I think when they said, I didn't get this particular piece of information. I think when they said 45 minutes, it was actually 47 minutes later in the film.
And then they're like 39 minutes, and they're like, "Yeah, we got to hurry. There's only 15 minutes left." I'm like, "Right." I think it's actually as close as you can get it, I suppose. So, given the the opening credits, the end credits, and the 3 endings, or 4 rather, but close enough for me. I mean, hey, the commitment to the bit, I like it.
Yeah. Let's see. The conclusion of ending C. Is the only one which gives a version of the classic answer from the Clue board game about who killed Mr. Body, when Mr. Green says, "I did it in the hall with the revolver."
And I'm going to go home and have sex with my wife.
Look at sex with my wife.
That's a dumb verbal tick I've had. I was like, oh yeah, I remember he does that. He's just so cool, but he's like, I'm going to go home and have sex with my wife. I'm like, okay, dude. You do you, man.
Flex, bro. Flex.
Got it flaunted, right? That's all good.
Now, I'll say this, and I'll let Tex do a little bit of talking about it. There was actually a 4th ending, scripted and shot, in which Wadsworth committed all the murders out of a twisted need for perfection in his life. He reveals that he poisoned everyone with a slow-acting toxin in their drinks. It ended with Wadsworth being killed by dogs as he attempted to escape by car from the house. The rather grim nature of the ending is probably why it was never released, and it was never shown because filmmakers thought the ending would have been too obvious. It only survives in the novelization and in the storybook, which features a single photo from that ending, the chief punching Wadsworth in the stomach. I honestly, I don't know. Tex, I'll go to you. Do you like that ending? Because I actually kind of don't.
I wish that was the ending that the film went with. I would have loved, but for Tim Curry in that he can be serving you as the butler, smiling, and then just like that, he goes evil. Just that smile, kind of like the Grinch, just keeps on going up. And it was going to be revealed, like you just said, he did all the killing, and then he poisoned all the champagne, so all of the rest of the cast that was still alive was going to die already. And then the policeman grabs him, he kills him, and he gets into the cop car. And then a couple of the dogs. Now, I don't know if it's the two that we saw in the beginning of the film or the dogs that were in the garden on the outside of the glass windows. I don't know which sets of dogs that were supposed to be. Either way, they were ferocious. They were supposed to be in that cop car, and as he's driving away, the people that are left in the house see him basically being eaten to death by dogs. And that was going to be the ending of it. Now, is it a darker ending? Yes. Would it have fit with the comedic tone of this film? Probably not. But being the gorehound that I am, and that's what I love, I would have preferred that. Would it have fit best? No. The third ending, where everybody kills everybody, is the best ending out of all of them. I think we can probably all agree on that.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah.
That fourth ending, I would have loved. I mean, why not? If you've got three, why not have four? What's it gonna hurt? Throw it on a DVD, put it on a special features, and you've got it. You can always do your own thing with it. It's they could have had they could have done anything with the ending of this film, but it's like we've said numerous times here. The ending, the who and the what, it doesn't matter in this film. It's the how. How did everything happen? You live in it, enjoy it, watch it, watch how you get to the end, not what is the end. It's like I said, it's not the greatest film, but it's a fun watch. It's a the ending doesn't really matter, like we've said. It's it ended.
See, another piece of trivia is one of the photos burned is a photo of Colonel Mustard and a soldier, both in U.S. Army dress uniforms. The soldier is the motorist who was his driver during the war. That's when he says, one of them is my old boss, right before he gets knocked in the head and killed with the wrench. That's who he's talking about.
Yeah. I guess we'll never know now. Kind of.
Did you also know that in all three versions of the ending, Yvette is killed by a woman and Mr. Green is innocent?
Yeah, Mr. Green's the only one that doesn't kill anybody. Like he's the only good guy throughout this whole film. I found that to be kind of funny.
Yeah. Huh.
Okay, are you guys ready for this? We do this every time there's a movie where death is involved.
Oh, we're not doing this.
We're doing.
He says every time as if the only other movie we did was the last one.
We've done it twice in a row, and I've won, and you've lost both times. That's why you're mad and you don't want to do it.
No. I actually knew how many died. That was wrong. Whoever wrote that shit on IMDb, you're wrong. And I will fight you.
It could have been 300 people that died in Carrie. We don't know.
I don't know how big the graduating class of 1976 was. Shit. I don't know.
Didn't you get the almanac that year? Didn't you get the yearbook and get all your deals? Come on.
I wasn't even there in '85, dude. What makes you think I was there in '76? Good Lord.
Well, let's take our guesses. I'll start with you, Tex. What is the body count of Clue?
Are you counting all the endings?
Now,
like what?
Hang on, so you just say, which ending are we going by?
Hi, welcome to the harsh truth where everything's made up and the points don't fucking matter.
Well, I'm going to throw all endings in there, and let's see.
Well, does the fourth one count?
No, I wouldn't count the
fourth. Let's see. Okay. Cook. Maid. I'll say 5.
All right, Jeremy, what do you say?
I'm going. Oh.
Huh.
Well, because I would have also said 5 though. That's the problem. It's not going to matter because IMDb is going to be wrong anyway. I'm trying to think who else.
Are you calling fake news on IMDb?
I'm going to in fact call fake news on IMDb.
Hey, you're wearing the suit, so you might as well run for office and just start calling them out, man. You know?
I'm not J. Edgar Hoover. I'm not going to call them and say and shut it down. Damn it! I think he took my answer. I want to say 5. Sure, let me go first.
You can say 5 and still be right.
I mean, yeah, I'm gonna go with 5.
You're gonna say 5. Okay, Alex, how about you? How
6.
many deaths happen in Clue?
Oh, he's going to do. Oh, he did the +1. You suck.
I thought about doing 6, but I'm like, no, I'll stick with 5.
Now, according to IMDb, there's 2 ways to approach this here. So, Jeremy, they're trying to cover their bases here, so calm the hell down. In ending A, with either ending A or B, the body count is 6.
Okay.
But in ending C, the body count is 7. In ending C is the one where the butler dies. Butler gets killed. He gets shot.
Oh.
I was like, I'm missing somebody. God damn it! I should have said 6.
Okay, so there's the maid, the cook,
the Yvette,
Yvette,
the telegram girl,
telegram,
the cop,
the motorist, the cop.
Oh, the motorist. Damn it! Forgot the motorist.
Oh, crap.
Yeah. So there's the 6. And then in ending C, you add Wadsworth. That makes
Wadsworth.
7.
Or was
I was counting him the whole time already because of C. I forgot the motor. Oh, man.
Motorist is who I forgot. And then him at the end, Wadsworth. Okay.
Yeah.
Are you happy about that now, Jeremy? Are you okay?
No, I'm going to stand with Jeremy and call fake news. These shenanigans can't.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I do it right? Wrong.
We need to. IMD needs to be held accountable for their, fake numbers they're throwing at here.
At least that was actually, closer to, what I thought it would have been. Not like, how many died in Carrie? They literally tell you in a second. No, they didn't. Okay, they literally said like 60 people died in the gym. They're like, it's 22. Where the hell did you pull that from? Were you there? No, you weren't. I don't care.
Well, that one was so messed up because they said, only the close-up deaths count. Well, what counts as a close-up death whenever she's looking at the entire gym? It's like, do you count
like
this
I said,
one?
She just shut the doors and walked out. I'm like, I assume the whole thing burned down.
Right.
Whatever. Well, in the book, she killed the whole town.
Did you guys know who played the singing telegram girl? A little bit of trivia.
I just saw that.
I know she was a rock star. I know she was a rock singer, but I don't remember from what band.
It's Jane Wideland. She's the rhythm guitarist for the Go-Go's.
Okay.
Yeah.
She got like 3 seconds on screen and got shot.
Hey,
it is kind of comedic too. She's like, I guess it's your singing telegram. Boom. Oh, well, that was it. Okay.
A good death is its own reward, right? Isn't that what the saying is? So,
right.
It's all good.
I think I've used all the good trivia that's here on IMDb. Jeremy doesn't like half of it anyway.
I like this
He's
one.
In protest.
One on Carrie. Okay.
He's in protest with IMDb. He's going to go.
I'm going to.
Now on. Yeah.
We're gonna start adding kill counts to this crap. I'm gonna watch the movies twice. Once to enjoy it, and then twice I'm gonna write down every damn death that happens. Tex, why don't you pick a horror movie for Thursday? I'll do that.
Is there a kill count for Clue on the Dead Meat channel?
I don't know. Let me look.
I don't think so.
Not that good lord, excuse me. Not that
one of these days we're gonna do Schindler's List. You imagine the kill count for that? 1.5 million.
About 6 million. About 6 million of them.
This is are we racist if we do an over/under on how many died in that? Because that sounds problematic. I'm just letting y'all know ahead of time. So
we just have to approach it respectfully.
we might need to get somebody of the Jewish faith on that podcast with it, so we don't appear too bad.
I was
Just
say,
for aesthetics' sake.
If anyone knows my last name, it's very German, so you don't want me to.
I'm as German. My bloodline is as German as they come. I don't think I can talk on that episode. So.
I unironically would eat an entire can of sauerkraut with a fork. So, straight up. God, I'm sorry.
I'm Mexican, so I'm not going to worry about it.
I know, you're fine.
I don't need part of that nonsense.
Yeah, but obviously, you got to keep the eye on him because no one expects the Spanish Inquisition.
True.
Right.
Alex, a Canadian, so he was on our side. He was an ally.
Right. It's always the polite.
This side of the stream is okay. That side over there has got issues.
This is
Hang on, wait. Are we being canceled for our heritage? I feel like events in history had like this have happened before. This never ends well. We might need to stop this before it gets worse.
For me, yeah, twice in the same century. Sorry.
Hey, if Frank starts building camps and showers, I'm leaving this channel. I'm not coming back. I'm just saying. So,
it's a work camp.
I've seen this movie.
It's fine.
I've seen this movie, and I know how it ends. So you ain't tricking me, mister.
It's lawn care. Totally.
So, yeah.
Got taco trucks.
Across Texas any day now.
He's gonna be the first to go, Tex. You're the first line of defense. Damn it.
You start, Frank. If you even try to tattoo numbers on me, by God, I'm taking your head off.
You'll be Dale Earnhardt's number. You'll be fine.
He's number 3. Yeah.
Hey, you want a NASCAR tattoo? I'll be like, hell yeah! And then pretty soon I'm, being bulldozed over, and somebody's shoelaces are tickling my back as they walk over me. It's going to be great. Yeah.
We need to wrap this up before Texas gets me in trouble with YouTube. Texas,
just to say, I've got a whole lot of jokes that I could say, but it'd probably get you kicked off the airwaves.
Probably. Yeah. That's why we're going to go ahead and start wrapping things up. I'll start with our good friend Alex from Alex and the Garbage Man. Don't forget, by the way, his link to his channel is in the description below. He's usually live on Monday nights, but Dr. Nick needed to take the day off. He decided to take the day off and come join us. We're very grateful that he came and hung out with us today. More collaborations between us and him are coming, of course, in the future. But give us a quick paragraph, overall thoughts on the 1985 film Clue.
Again, great movie. You're going to have a lot of fun. Don't turn your brain off. It's more fun to try and figure it out as it goes along. And looking at the movies that came out in 1985, this definitely, at least to me, ranks in the top 10 just because of the fun factor and the people who are involved. So do not pass this up if you get the chance. If you've got an hour 36, that's the movie including credits, please see this film. You will not be disappointed. Please. Thank you.
And to my hetero life mate, Jeremy, quick final thoughts on Clue.
I'm kind of mad that he didn't say don't pass go. You had a chance right there, Alex. You could have done that. I was hoping you were about to say that. Don't pass go. Yeah, like you said, it's just the fun. It's just the ride of getting to the movie, and you don't even really care by the end because, again, like I said, it's all made up and the points don't matter. Which could be the show or that board game, that movie, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, it's just a fun ride from start to finish. I mean, you can't get mad at Tim Curry putting in the work. All these people did their, like we said, they all did their heavy lifting with the comedy, and it, why I still laugh at it all these years later. So don't pass go or collect $200 in the kitchen with a knife. It wasn't me, okay?
He didn't do
Never
it.
trust the butler. Never trust the butler.
And how about you, Mr. Camo? We don't want to give out your real name. We'll go by the pseudonym with you for the rest of the show. Final thoughts on Clue.
This is if you haven't seen it, go watch it. If you haven't seen it in a while, like I have, go watch it because it's a lot of fun. If you have younger kids that maybe like the Scooby-Doo kind of stuff, and they have if they're kind of showing they like the spookier, scarier stuff, this is something you can put in front of them and not have to worry about it. Get it, like I said, good entry level kind of spooky movie, and You after you watch it, go jump on YouTube for all the theories and conspiracy theories where they deep dive. This is one of those films where you can rabbit hole for hours. There is so much content. You can really get in on that. So check it out.
Yeah, as for me, I mean, it's a very quirky movie with a lot of quick beats, quick hits. You got to kind of keep up with it. I mean, Alex is right. You don't want to turn your brain all the way off because this movie does move pretty fast. And if you're not paying attention, a couple of jokes might miss you. But the nice thing about it is because of the nature of the movie, if you miss one gag, the next one's is right behind it. It's going to get you, and you're probably not going to be totally lost. I think the movie holds up pretty well. It is quite dated just visually. I mean, even pulling up some of these pictures, I mean, there were some that were still kind of hazy because they were pulled from probably some VHS tape that somebody bought in 1988. but yeah, so it's really super dated, but it's funny. It's one of those not National Lampoon style movies necessarily, but it's kind of one of the average comedies that came out in that era of filmmaking. You know, fast moving one-liners. Again, the best thing modern that I can really relate it to is it's kind of like an episode of Family Guy, and then it's got a lot of the live action cutaway gags almost. That's kind of what the best thing I can compare it to. As a matter of fact, there's an episode of Family Guy called "And Then There Were Fewer."
There is a Clue episode of Family Guy, yeah.
That is kind of modeled around this movie. You know, Seth MacFarlane said that he kind of modeled that episode around this movie a little bit. So yeah, there's a lot of that to it. Again, it's a lot of fun. It's loaded with people who are just great comedians, great comedic actors, a great comedic timing. It's interesting that they just kind of wrote honestly, if you'd have not called it Clue and just called it Whodunit and just released it like that, it probably would still be the same movie. Clue is definitely not what this movie. It's not about the game. It's this cool story that they developed set against the backdrop of basically what this board game is, and that's about it. That's the only real connection to the board game. But it's a lot of fun, a lot of great one-liners, a lot of great moments. I mean, that's one of the things we got in the 80s was we got a lot of movies that were not overall, they weren't exactly Oscar contenders, but they were just stuffed with great moments. I mean, if you go back to any of the comedies of the time, things like Porky's, which I will never ever stop telling people are some of the best movies ever made. The first two, anyway. You know, all those teenage kind of inappropriate comedies that you would never get made today. It's like that's kind of what those movies were. They were just one hit after another, enough story to make a movie out of, and they were wildly entertaining. They were good to watch for an hour and a half or 2 hours, however long they were. But yeah, it's you can see this available for free on Amazon Prime. There is for some reason, I don't know why Prime does this. There's several movies. You can actually find it for free on Prime, but if you click on the wrong thing, you have to pay for it. I don't really know why Prime does that. There's nothing different about the two versions of the movie that I can see, at least nothing that would be worth paying for it on Prime. I also think I think it might be free with ads on YouTube. I'm not 100% sure. But I mean, bottom line is it's free on Prime, so you guys can go watch it. And the reality is you could probably find this for $5 on Amazon on DVD if you want to have it in your collection. One of the cool things I did read about this movie, though, is they have a Blu-ray copy of it out that I'm thinking about getting. You can actually set something in the Blu-ray to where every time you watch it will play a different ending. So I kind of like having all three of the endings in the body of the movie the way I saw it, because I never saw this in theaters. I only ever saw it on VHS and eventually DVD. So I've only ever seen it with the three endings at the end. But I think it's kind of interesting that they actually have that out there now, where you can have it to where it'll randomly play every time you play it. It'll play a different ending. Maybe that's kind of cool, but I don't know if that's your thing. Then
I don't know. That second ending sucks. That where it's Miss Peacock. I hate that ending. I wouldn't want that to be the one. To me, the only way to see this is to get all three. I think that's the only way to
go. I think so too. You know, they actually reshot that ending. Originally, they had shot it to where Howard Hesseman's character, the religious beatnik / the chief of police, he actually shoots her. But they thought that ending was going to be too dark for the movie, so they ended up, reshooting it a little bit and just make it to where she gets arrested. But what's funny is like when it cuts back to him, you can actually see the smoke in the air coming from his revolver. So they actually cut that piece into it. So it's like she got shot but didn't get shot. It was a phantom shot, we'll call it. But I think the movie's a lot of fun. I think you guys look. if you're going to spend an hour and a half of your life watching a movie, it may as well be this. Look, Tim Curry. That's all I'm gonna say. Tim Curry. I mean, he's Pennywise. He's this. He's what was I thinking about watching the other day? I almost did, and I ended up falling asleep and forgot. Three Musketeers. Three Musketeers. Even that movie is so widely entertaining in large part because Tim Curry plays the bad priest guy. But I mean, it's just loaded with a lot of talent. It's fun to watch. It just don't take the movie seriously. Just let the beats hit you, and you're gonna have a lot of fun with the movie. And the whodunit at the end, nobody cares. It's not really important. I mean, that's the best part. Rachel May just suggested something for Thursday. She said my dad rented Howard the Duck, thinking the PG rating was current when I was younger. He shut that off so fast. That movie is oddly not for children. That's what we could do Thursday. Right. We don't have any stone for Thursday. We could do Howard the Duck.
No. It's we've reviewed the illustrious Frankenhooker. Why not some bestiality to throw into it? Why not? Let's go full bore here.
I don't know. Are there deaths in that we can talk about and it can be wrong about? I don't know.
Probably. We'll find a good.
You're going to tell me like 30 people died in Howard the Duck, and I'm like, fucking where? Like, show me your work.
When that laser shoots into the sky and it brings down the bad guys, people had to imagine that, right?
Jeremy's going to protest IMDb. He's going to go on strike from IMDb from now on. He'll be at the wooden side. IMDb sucks.
IMDb's a liar. See, I was going to say her follow-up comment. I'm like, that may also be very well what plays into it. So,
yeah,
there's that too.
Yeah. But that seems like a good place to start wrapping things up. Thanks to all of you for coming to hang out with us tonight. Let me close out the poll real quick before I do the final shout-outs to my great co-hosts. Let me finish bringing up YouTube. Actually, we'll go ahead and start with Jeremy. Jeremy, where can the folks at home find you on the internet?
You can find me in the Twitter on the fuck. I can't do it. I'm trying to make this movie. I'm trying to make the jokes and it's not working. Whatever. It's the end of the movie now. Yeah, I'm on Twitter. Kind of. I mostly just retweet shit that Frank does because that's kind of more important because I will be here on, I guess, Mondays now. I don't know. Just, follow the social medias because then you'll get a better idea of what days we're doing it. But for certain, we're always here Thursday. Unless there be a holiday or something, or my birthday is also on a holiday this year. Right on Thanksgiving. It's going to be great. At this point, just give me food. I don't really care anymore. Just food. I'm pretty easy to please. Hey, Cora's not here. I got a squirrel at some point, okay? And
that is true. We have been lacking on the squirrel moments. I have missed that. I gotta say.
Well, again, I'm sorry. I'm trying to make a long story short. So I'm also, I have a YouTube. I have a Twitch. I don't do jack shit with it. I did get kind of nostalgic the other day, and I bought the original 1993 version of Doom. It's like $5 on PlayStation. It's probably on other stuff too. You want to have a good time smacking some zombies in the zombies? Wow, I was playing a zombie game before that. You want to smack some demons in the face? Go play some Doom. And I also found the one they remade in like 2016 for like $5. So it's a good time. Maybe because I'm also thinking about cosplaying as Doom Guy. And somebody over there might be Isabel with a shotgun in hell. I tried to make that work. But that's what Instagram's for. I might start doing some more cosplay stuff there. Since Brooding Gamer, I was going to shout him out again because I'm usually popping in on his stuff. You like Jurassic Park? You like Haunted Mansion? That's coming up soon.
You'll say he'll be...
yeah, that's the guy to talk to.
What he calls himself? Your ghost host will be making an appearance here next week, so make sure you're here.
Yeah, your ghost host with the most. That's him, and he likes to.
Yeah, there you go. So. Sorry, I screwed that up again. Sorry.
No, you're fine. I think you may have been right. I think I added that just to add a little spice. I don't know. But,
one of those is right. Go figure it out for yourself. Go watch his chat.
Whatever ending I just gave you right there. I don't care. There's your fifth ending.
The ending doesn't matter. Just like the review.
It doesn't. But that's my ending. There you go.
And to our man, the shape for the Lone Star State, Mr. Camo. Where can the folks at home find you on the internet, my friend?
Well, you won't find me. I'm camouflaged. I'm going to disappear in the woods, and you won't see me till Thursday. I'll just appear like I'm, I'll look like I'm walking out of the corn and Field of Dreams. I just show up for reviews here. So yeah, y'all come back Thursday, and we'll, I'll try to pour some other, schlocky, disgusting, grotesque exploitation movie on these guys to make them talk about it because it makes me happy. So we'll see what comes Thursday. So it's all good.
And of course, our good friend from up north. We got our friend down south near the Mexico border with Mr. Camo, but our good friend from up north, the good Canadian kid.
We're going worldwide, buddy.
Frank, we're sandwiched in the middle somewhere.
Yeah, we're right in the center. What do you got going on the internet, my friend? Pitch your channel for those of you who might not know where you're from.
I'm Alex from Alex and the Garbage Man. We stream live on Facebook and YouTube every Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Berta time. It's two guys talking about whatever they want. You will learn nothing, and we apologize in advance for wasting your time. Also, I do a movie podcast with my good friends Jack, Zach, Rylan, and Andrew called the You Missed It Podcast, where we discuss movies that we think are underrated. You can find us on SoundCloud. We also have a YouTube channel, Twitter, and Instagram. Look for YMI_podcast or You Missed It Podcast.
Go check him out. Again, the link to the Alex and the Garbage Man channel is in the description below. I'll actually find his other ones and put it in there eventually as well. But definitely go check him out. The only reason he's not on tonight, again, Dr. Nick had something apparently very, very important going on, and they couldn't do their show tonight. So Alex decided to come and hang out with us tonight. But it's cool because we were talking about doing this for probably the last month or so, give or take. So I'm glad that we finally got a chance to get this done. Alex, a cinephile, a fan of film, just like all of us. It's always great to have him on here. So as for me, you can find me here a couple nights a week breaking down one movie or another with this rotating cast of ne'er-do-wells. This week just happened to be these guys. Cora's going to be back on eventually. The reason Cora's not been on a lot lately is because she's in the process of moving between states, going back and forth, handling a lot of stuff. So she's been really, really busy. Once her life settles out, she will be back on here just as soon as she can find the time. But getting life taken care of is way more important than coming on here and listening to all of us act like idiots to each other for a couple hours a night. So Cora will eventually be back on here when she's free. We look forward to having her back. Those of you who voted in the poll, thank you very much, except for the one of you who ruined it and decided to put one meh. It was 100% awesome for the longest time, but thanks to the 9 of you who voted, 88% of you said awesome, 11% of you said meh, but nobody thought it was straight poop, so I guess we got that going for us. Like I said, as for me, you can find me here a couple times a week doing all this stuff about movies. So don't forget to come like and subscribe, do all that good stuff that helps push us up the algorithm because YouTube does absolutely nothing to help small channels like ours. Thanks to Polar Knights, who joined us on Twitch for the first time, and thanks to Alma, who joined us on YouTube for the first time. We hope you guys like what you saw, and you guys will consider liking and subscribing and coming back later on. And until next time, that is it. I have no idea what we're doing Thursday yet. We'll figure that out when we get there. But until next time, adios.
I'm good.
I'm playing. There we go.
There we go.
So my only remaining question was it 1 plus 2 plus 1 plus 1?
No, it was 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus. No, hold on.
No,
1 plus 2 plus 2 plus 1.
That means there's
y'all
one left.
Carrying the extra 2 here. What are y'all even talking about? 2 in the chamber, 3 in the clip. Don't you know this? What the
It was a
hell?
real ball, right? I thought you knew something about guns. You live in Texas.
Come on.
Are y'all using that George Bush fuzzy math here to count? Well, what are y'all doing? This is
He's from your state. That's your problem.
Well, Alex is from Canada. They
he
don't
does.
use the same measuring system we
No,
do.
we-
So that's his excuse. I'm like,
we don't claim that guy that chokes on pretzels. He belongs to y'all. He ain't ours.
Oh man.